Had some technical difficulties getting going, but we're here. This is heat race number 4. Unfortunately, we missed the first 3 heat races. Those were brought to you by Reigel Racing, as well as Casey Simon Cinematography and Twisted Speed. Heat race number 4 brought to you by TJ Visuals. As we look down on the racetrack, here is your race leader, Isaac Bowman, leading the way as he heads down the backstretch. 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐢𝐧𝐭 Jr. in a battle side by side. Now John Helms gonna fall behind him. Helms to the inside of 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐢𝐧𝐭. Dalton Shearer in that 4th spot. 𝐷𝐏𝐿𝐴𝐾𝐒 just on the outside of the transfer positions looking in. As you see a bobble on the bottom side, that's Bowen Smith and Michael Schuring battling it out for position. Those drivers on the outside looking in. We're going to take the top 4 from these heat races and advance them directly to tonight's A main. Everyone else will go through a consi as Isaac Bowman continues to lead the way. 4 laps to go here in heat race number 4. John Helms in that 2nd spot. 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐢𝐧𝐭 Jr. in 3rd. Dalton Shearer in that 4th spot. As cautions out, brought to you by 618 Engraving and Design. This one involves Michael Schuring and Andrew Ray, as we're going to take a look at what just happened here, and we'll walk you through it. As you take a look a little bit further back, watching Andrew Ray up on the high side, looks like just going to come together with Michael Schuring. Goes for a big tumble through turns number 1 and 2, loses the wing on that machine, does Andrew Ray, and unfortunately for him, that's going to take him back pit side in car number 10. And of course, tonight's pit road brought to you by the folks at Dirt Series Promotions, a good partner here of the 360 Nationals. We're just cleaning up a couple of mechanical issues, or in this case, technical issues here tonight. So apologies if anything is a little bit out of whack here in this one, but I guess we can go back to what we were talking about that nobody heard earlier on, because we were pushing live. Just unfortunately, that push just did not go all the way through. As we'll take a look here. My name is Robert Hill Jr. I am the voice of the Mohawk International Raceway and the Cornwall Motor Speedway. Joining me tonight, Ella Scott up here in the booth. Ella, I asked you this about 20 minutes ago, but how you doing tonight?
You know, just like I said 20 minutes ago, I am so excited to be back. Finally getting my opportunity to come back commentating. It has been a while, so I might be a little rusty, and I am still a rookie, so I'm going to try and hang in there and do my best tonight.
Well, that's all we can ask for. And once again, folks, we do apologize for the technical gremlins experienced at the start of this one. This is, of course, the Regal Performance Esports 360 Nationals, brought to you by Reigel Racing. And tonight, night number 1, brought to you by Slide Job Syndicate. Glad to be on board here with you all 3 nights this week as we get set to put a bunch of drivers in the show. 98 drivers attempting to qualify into this 360 Nationals. And Ella, that is pretty phenomenal to see.
Yeah, I gotta say, you know, I have seen quite a few iRacing leagues, but never 98 drivers. So I am really looking forward just to seeing how it plays out throughout today, tomorrow, as well as Wednesday during our final night.
Back to the green flag presented by 3PG as Isaac Bowman leads the way here. Here comes John Helms, battle for the lead. Helms with a big juicy slider, gonna go to that top spot. Bowman right behind him as they work their way through the final lap. It's gonna be the battle to the line between Helms and Bowman as we come off of turn number 4. Checkered flag is out. John Helms going to pick up heat race number 4. Isaac Bowman 2nd. Bowen Smith going to come home 3rd. And 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐢𝐧𝐭 Jr. going to round out the transfer cars. That means Dalton Shearer, Dylan McKee, Greg Robinson, Michael Schuring, and Mason Hine, as well as Justin Walbring and others going to one of our B mains. As Ella, I believe we're getting set for B main number 1 here. Just confirm that for you here, folks. Actually, we're going to go through a C main in this one. Not often that we go through C mains, as these drivers are going to work their way on out. Just one of the consies as you take a look down at the starting grid. That is Brody Duscher on the pole. He's going to lead us to the green alongside Ross Kaiser in that 2nd spot. Matt Hinkle gonna start in position number 3. Nick Larry in 4th. Jeremy Christensen on the inside of row number 3. Tony Dominguez to the outside of that row. Cody Wickard, Corey Denson, David Baker, Kevin Goodall, Dalton Berkeley, Robert Brenneman, Ryan Avila, and Armando Melgoza gonna round out the field. So 14 cars in this one here, Ellas. We're gonna roll off of pit lane. Should be a good battle here amongst these drivers. Of course, we got to see them in some heat races earlier on. Unfortunately, just nobody else did.
Yeah, you know, sometimes the internet is a great invention, but other times, you know, sometimes just doesn't want to work. So unfortunately, that does happen, and we did miss a few of the heat races, but I'm sure this C main will make up for all that you have missed. So,
well, it's all we can hope for, right? Is that we can put on a good show here in this one as the field works their way around this beautiful half-mile Knoxville Speedway. Knoxville Raceway, I should say. Always a great time down here, and looking forward to 3 days of great action here with the 360 Nationals. Once again, Brody Duscher, Ross Kaiser, Nick Larry, Tony Dominguez, and Matt Hinkle going to be the top 5 for this initial start. Of course, all green flags brought to you by our friends at 3PG, one of the great partners here in the Regal Performance Esports 360 Nationals. And we're going to touch on a lot of those partners throughout the running here over the next couple of days. A lot of great partners on board, and Ella, we're going to have you look at those just a little bit later on as the green flags out right away. 10 laps to go in this one. Brody Duscher going to lead the way. Matt Hinkle second. Ross Kaiser in that 3rd spot. Nick Larry right behind him as we got battles all throughout. Jeremy Christensen, Cody Wickard, Tony Dominguez, Corey Denson all there together. It's a 4-car dance from 5th on back as the top 4 also breaking out into a bit of a grouping as they work their way around. And the 618 engraving a design yellow flag gonna fly 1 lap into this one. So caution flag out here in the early going of tonight's C main as part of the 360 Nationals. Let's take a look and see what happened to David Baker to bring out this caution. So watching Baker working his way around, getting up towards that outside wall in car number 4. Just going to come together, sends him up into the outside wall, flips him over. Once again, going to lose that top wing and puts us under caution for the first time in this C main. So Ella, obviously, we missed some heat racing action, but still a lot of good action to come here tonight and throughout the rest of this event. Tomorrow night going to be much the same as tonight. Hopefully a lot less technical issues though, as we'll have a bunch more heat races, a couple more B mains, and work our way towards the main event night coming up on Wednesday.
yeah, you know, still lots of racing in the next 3 days, so hopefully we get all our technical difficulties sorted out, and there will be, fingers crossed, no issues tomorrow, and we will be able to get that on the way.
Osville works their way around. Brody Duscher still in control of the field. Gonna be I believe it'll be back to 9 laps when we go green once again. So Duscher, Hinkle, Kaiser, Larry, Christensen, Wickard, Dominguez, Denson, Goodall, Avila, Berkeley, Melgoza, Brenneman, and Baker. That's the field as we'll work our way around this time. Gonna get set for the green flags. You see the iRacing.com pace truck working its way pit side. We'll hand the field back over to Brody Duscher as the 3PG green flag is back out. We're back underway. Good battle for position number 2 as Ross Kaiser and Matt Hinkle battle it out. Kaiser looks like he's going to lose a little bit of ground on the bottom. Nick Larry coming up into that fight as they work their way, continuing in that battle for the 4th and 5th positions. Jeremy Christensen trying to get himself up into one of those transfer spots is now to the inside of him. Goes Ryan Avila. Avila and Christensen side by side as the battle's also on for the top spot. Ross Kaiser going to use the inside lane. He gets by Brody Duscher. New leader, Ross Kaiser, in the early going of this one. 6 laps to go as the 618 engraving and design. Yellow flag going to fly once again. And that's Cody Wickard with major issues on that number 5 car. Let's back it up and take a look at what just happened to him. Well, looks like he... oh, wow. Cody Wickard going to get a little bit of help here as he was working his way around, going to collect the Royalty Graphics machine behind him, and that 51 of Wickard going to work his way up into the outside wall, loses the wing, and unfortunately for him, looks like night may be over for the driver of that number 5 car. So Ella, obviously a little bit of calamity here in the early going of this C main. Hopefully the drivers can calm down for this second half.
Yeah, you know, they're all fighting for that spot in the B main, but sometimes it just, you know, you get into another driver and it unfortunately ends your night. So definitely not what these drivers are looking for tonight, wanting to get into the B main and as well as the feature on Wednesday. But hopefully these drivers can crawl their way back through the field and make it so we can see them race again on Wednesday.
So another reminder of the format as we get the 1 to green. Drivers went through qualifying, then working their way into the heat races. Top 4 are going to advance to the feature, and 2 B mains. I believe this one will count as the first. Top 4 will transfer directly to the feature coming up later on tonight, and then we'll have a quick warm-up session before a 25-lap preliminary night feature with a 24-car field and points all throughout the evening as well. And those points will be important when it comes to Wednesday night, because the top 16 in combined points from both of these evenings will transfer directly into the A main coming up on Wednesday night as the green flag back out, brought to you by 3PG, and the battles are on up at the front of the field as these drivers work their way down the backstretch. Duscher leads the way. Hinkle right there with him as they're going to work their way around once again. Some very good battles. A heck of a fight going on for second here as Ross Kaiser up to that second spot. Hinkle right there. Ryan Avila, one of those drivers that's worked his way up through the field, put himself in a good position as Kaiser goes to the race lead on the bottom. Has to hit the binders just a little bit to not slide up too much into Brody Duscher as they work their way by the flag stand. Once again, Kaiser to the lead. Here comes Avila down on the bottom. Ryan Avila side by side just about down the back stretch with Ross Kaiser for that top spot. Avila, one of the only drivers really making that inside lane work as David Baker heads back to pit road. That's the Dirt Series promotion pit lane. Unfortunately for him, looks like night going to be over. We'll see him back on Wednesday night going through one of those B's and trying to lock himself into the big show as Kaiser still leads the way, coming to the white flag this time. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go for Ross Kaiser, but here comes Ryan Avila on the bottom, the lapped car on the inside. I believe that was Cody Wickard going a lap down to your race leaders. Kaiser and Avila come off at turn number 4 side by side. Checkered flag. Ross Kaiser going to take this one, and he'll bring himself to the Royals Graphics victory lane. Kaiser going to pick up this one. Avila second. Duscher third. Hinkle going to round out the top 4. Then it's Larry, Goodall, Christensen, Dominguez, Brenneman, Berkeley, Melgoza, Wickard, Baker, and Denson rounding out the field as we get set for our second B of the night. Let's go through the starting grid. Ella, why don't you walk us through this one?
Yeah, starting off on pole, we have Christian McCartney, and starting 2 on pole 2 is Dalton Schur. Starting on row 2, we have Parker Ennis and Dylan McKee. Row 3, we have Blake Gidgelow and Greg Robertson. And we have Brantley Ryan and Michael Schuring, Tayton Sander, Mason Hine, and rounding it off, we have Brett Grubb and Justin Walbring. Oh, we have a few more. Daniel Northcutt, Andrew Ray, and rounding off the field, we have Joseph Grandy.
That is your starting field here in this one. Some beautiful rides sitting there on pit lane. We're looking at Christian McCartney, the driver out of Cornwall, Ontario, Canada. I know that place quite well. Happened to...
Yeah, it's almost... I think I was there yesterday, actually.
Yeah, it's my second home up there at the Cornwall Motor Speedway, home of Christian McCartney. Don't know if he's been there too many times, but cool to see a local in this event. Couple drivers not making the call for this race. Brett Gruby, Joseph Grandy not going to be out on the racetrack. Grandy was here earlier on tonight, but did not make the call for his heat race or this B main. So going to have a lot of work to do coming up through the Bs on Wednesday night, but nonetheless, still an opportunity to compete in this one. Christian McCartney, Dalton Shearer going to lead us to the green flag. This is B main number 2 of the night, brought to you by WFO Designs. The first one was brought to you by 618 Engraving and Design, and unfortunately for us, but fortunately for them, they've gotten a little bit of a workout tonight with those cautions. So hopefully this one's clean and green as we'll work our way around this time, getting set for the green flag. The green flags tonight brought to you by Third Party Gaming, a great partner here of the 360 Nationals. As we work our way around, green flags out, the 3PG greens in the air. Dalton Shearer doesn't get going, but one that does is Christian McCartney, but none of that gonna matter as we're under caution already, and Greg Robinson unfortunately gonna get caught up in that one, and looks like he's got some pretty hefty damage on board that machine. He'll have to take his way back to the Dirt Series Promotions pit lane and see if they can get it fixed up. Drivers do, of course, have one fast repair at their disposal here tonight, but doesn't look like that car wants to turn, does it, Ella?
No, definitely having some difficulty getting back to that pit lane, but he is making his way there slowly. Hopefully he can make it back and get that fast repair so he can make it back out in time for the green flag.
It definitely didn't want to turn, so I'm quite curious if he's going to actually be able to make it into his pit box. We'll have to keep an eye and see if Greg Robinson able to work his way back out, and yes, he does, as he is currently moving on pit lane. So Christian McCartney, Dalton Shearer, Parker Annis, Dylan McKee, Blake Giglio, that's the top 5. Brantley Bryant in 6th, Michael Schuring 7th, Tayton Sander in 8th, Mason Hine 9th, 10th is Daniel Northcutt with Justin Walbring and Andrew Ray, the top 12 with Greg Robinson. Rounding out those still in this one, Robinson currently scored 1 lap down, unfortunately for him, but nonetheless, everyone else still in this race with Christian McCartney leading the way. The School is Sim Racing Elite driver. Nice ride there. I love the Canadian flag on the side of that one, of course. Just a week removed from Canada Day. And a couple days removed as well from Independence Day in the States. And I must say, I had my first 4th of July in the U.S. just Friday night. And the Americans, well, sorry Canada, but they do it better.
Yeah, you know, I sat by the water watching the fireworks, and I'm amazed by how many fireworks they have each year. So I love Canada, but you know, sometimes we could just step it up a little bit on our holidays.
Just a wee bit as the 3PG green flag is back out. We're back underway. Christian McCartney leads the way. Dalton Shearer in that 2nd spot. Parker Annis having some connection issues as he's going to blink out briefly there as he battles his way just behind Annis as they've caught up with Christian McCartney. Battle's going to be on for that top spot as we got drivers all over the place towards the rear of the field. Let's go high above from our blimp cam. That just shows how chaotic this race has been so far as drivers using every which lane possible. Christian McCartney, that's the driver out front on the field. 7 to go this time. Here comes Blake Giglio just behind him. Parker Annis working that high lane. That's Dalton Shearer down on the bottom, and Dylan McKee also up top. So you're seeing the bottom lane come into play. The top lane very prevalent here as well, as it looks like a little bit more moisture up top as Annis going to get that run down the front straightaway. And that's something we're going to keep our eyes on coming up later on in the feature race as well, Ella, where these drivers opt to run is 3 wide right there down the backstretch. McKee and Shearer are going to benefit from that one as things got real tight right there between Tate Sander and Michael Schuring, as they're right on the outside of those transfer spots looking in, as we got a little bit of a blinker there a little bit further back, just about 4 wide towards the tail of this top 5 battle. That's pretty impressive what these drivers have been able to do here so far. Annis pulling away from the field almost a second over second place Dylan McKee, Blake Giglio, Christian McCartney, Dalton Shearer, as well as Tate Sander and Michael Schuring all together here on the outside of that top 3 looking in. And you can just see some big freaking sliders coming into play here as these drivers try to work their way into those transfer spots, chasing down the top 2. Annis, one of those drivers that I didn't necessarily expect to be as quick as he has been so far in this B-main, and that tells me potentially he had some issues in his heat race and just wasn't quite able to get what he wanted. As this battle's on, Blake Giglio goes to the inside of Dylan McKee, throws a big slider on him. He's going to slide up. McKee looks to the inside that time, not quite able to get there, as we'll come around to the white flag. Going to be 1 lap to go for Parker Annis, as Annis works his way down the front straightaway, blinks out once again. And sometimes if you blink at the line, iRacing will stop scoring you. So Parker Annis getting pretty lucky there that his blinks are not negatively affecting him too much as he comes off of turn number 4. Checkered flag is out. Parker Annis going to take this one. Dylan McKee second, Blake Giglio third. Michael Schuring going to round out the top 4. A bit of contact afterwards with Tate Sander. Sander, well, he's going to sand himself and go for a bit of a flip there. Dalton Shearer in 6th. McCartney was the pole sitter, fell all the way back to 7th. Brantley Bryant, Andrew Ray, Daniel Northcutt, Mason Hine, Justin Walbring, Greg Robinson round out the field. As that's going to do it for qualifiers, we're going to get set for our warm-up session here tonight, brought to you by Night Owl Racing League, a great partner here of the 360 Nationals. So drivers going to work their way on out here, Ella, and just do some fine-tuning on those cars before we get going. And we'll pull up the tracker here on the left so you can see the lap times that those drivers are running. But why don't we go ahead and go through a list of some of our partners here tonight that have made this all possible. We're going to start with our partners bringing some prizes for the preliminary nights. $10 each for the winners of the Monday and Tuesday preliminaries, courtesy of Twisted Speed. Of course, Wednesday we will have a custom trophy. The fastest qualifier will receive a free cinematography session, courtesy of Casey Simon's Cinematography. The best appearing car will get a photo session and $10, courtesy of Metcalf Cinematography. The pole award will be a free wrap brought to you by Royas Graphics. That's on Wednesday night only. A free setup pack for the Hard Luck will come from Premier Racing Setups. The Hard Charger will get a free setup pack courtesy of Twisted Speed. The second place driver on Wednesday will get a free wrap courtesy of WFO Designs. And if we have a last lap pass for the victory on Wednesday, the driver will get $5 as part of the F&D awareness fundraiser in support of Ty Dickinson, one of our drivers here in the 360 Nationals. Wednesday night we'll announce the paint scheme of the year as well, courtesy of Right Rear Racing. The most improved driver will receive an award courtesy of Shockeye Racing Performance, and the Mr. Clean Award will get $15 courtesy of Triplet Motors. Ella, why don't you tell us about a couple of our sponsors that have brought to you our heat races, our B-mains, and everything else that we have up for grabs here this week?
Yeah, you know, big thanks to all the sponsors. We wouldn't be able to put this amazing event on without them. So Heat Race 1 was sponsored by Right Rear Racing. Night 1 and tomorrow night as well was sponsored by Slide Job Syndicate. Heat Race number 2 was sponsored by Casey Simon's Cinematography. Heat Race number 3 was sponsored by Twisted Speed, and Heat Race number 4 was sponsored. Just trying to find it here.
That's TJ Visuals for that one, Ella.
Oh,
Yeah, a little bit hidden on the sheet, but that's okay. As warm-up coming to an end, and of course, warm-up tonight was brought to you by Night Owl Racing League. A couple other partners on this one. The kickoff show last night was brought to you by Royalty Motorsports. They'll present the B-Main number 4 on Wednesday. Also, the drivers' meeting brought to you by Admin Box. The hard charger from Twisted Speed. 618 Engraving came up big with the B-Main, the caution, and the fastest lap. Victory Fuel bringing you the 4-wide salute. Royas Graphics with Victory Lane. And let's go ahead and go through the starting grid for tonight's preliminary night number 1. 25 laps for this one. John Klimowicz the third on the pole, alongside Ryan Sheet on the outside. Ethan Milwane and John Helms make up row number 2. Ty Dickinson and Trevin McCrillis make up row number 3. Row 4, Caden Barry. That's a driver to watch all week long, Ella. He's had a lot of success here at the Knoxville Raceway. Isaac Bowman to his outside. Alexis Vigan and Matthew Stables make up row number 5. Why don't you take us through to position number 20?
So I'm just trying to find where we left off here.
Position 11 with Miles Jansen.
Miles Jansen and Bowen Smith rounding off row. Starting on 13th, Bradley Wilson and Jamie Gardner starting. Ty Williamson and John Klimowicz Jr., Ross Kaiser and Parker Anis, Rylan Avila and Dylan McKee, Brody Dusher and Blake Giglio, Matt Hinkle and Michael Schuring.
And that is your 24-car field for tonight's preliminary action here as part of the 360 Nationals tonight. Brought to you by Regal Performance Esports and Right Rear Racing, the presenting sponsor of this particular event. Night number 1 brought to you, of course, by Slide Job Syndicate. Glad to have them all on board with us. This is one of those events that you really couldn't do without all these great partners. And once again, folks, we want to thank you for standing by with us tonight throughout the technical difficulties. A couple things to be adjusted for tomorrow and Wednesday. That's okay. It's preliminary night for you, preliminary night for us as well. We'll get it all sorted out and be set to go. So drivers working their way around. Looks like they're trying to get set for some 4-wide action here. That is the Victory Fuel 4-wide salute. Race fans, this is one of the coolest moments in motorsports as these drivers try to work their way around, seeing if they can get that set up. But Victory Fuel, the presenting partner of tonight's 4-wide salute, they're going to bring them to you all week long. As you take a look from the fan cam, Ella, this has always been something to me that is one of those coolest moments that you can ever see on a racetrack. When those drivers come around 4 abreast, working their way off of turn number 4, all the way down to turn number 1, saluting the fans, that is the coolest thing.
Absolutely. And, you know, I got to see it twice this weekend, both in Brockville and Cornwall. And every time it just gets better. It's an amazing... just amazing to see from the fan point of view.
And it's pretty cool as well how these drivers just can do it without hitting each other. It's much easier in these sprint cars where you have a little bit more room as well compared to something like a big block modified, which we saw a couple times with the Super Dirt Car series over the last couple of weeks. And it's just always one of those really cool things, and it just shows how important the fans are each and every race night, even in events like this. Everyone that's tuned in tonight over on Regal Promotions Esports YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button. Everything you do to support us allows us to give back, allows us to continue to put on great shows like the 360 Nationals. We have a couple great shows still to come over the next couple of weeks. On July 22nd, just 2 weeks away, is the Jackpot 100 brought to you by 618 Engraving and Design. That is the Pro Late Models at Lernerville. Then in August, that was choke up right there. August the 12th, the Oxford 125. That's the Pavement Ignition Series opener, late model stock cars on August the 12th at Oxford. And then the King's Clash coming up September 15th and 17th. That's the Eldora Sprint doubleheader There's a big trophy up for grabs, $50 as well to the winner, and just $10 to start as well. So not too shabby whatsoever, as these drivers going to work their way around. We're going to get set to go green in just a couple of moments. Again, Ethan Milwain, Ryan Sheet going to lead us to the green flag on this one. John 𝐒𝐿𝐲 falling all the way to the back as we're under green. The 3PG green flag is out. We're underway. Ethan Milwain going to lead the way down the back straightaway. Ryan Sheet up to that outside lane in second. Drivers moving all throughout the field. We got some big contact towards the rear. Bowen Smith going to be the driver to lose out on this one. He'll lose a ton of spots. Down 10 already. Oh, man, big wreck for Ryan Sheet. He's going to go up and stays moving just about, but unfortunately going to collect Isaac Bowman. John 𝐒𝐿𝐲 Jr. involved in that one as well. Looks like John 𝐒𝐿𝐲 the third also going to get a piece of that one. Trevor McCrillis also involved. So Ella, not what we were hoping to see right there. So we'll take a look. Ryan Sheet going to be one heavily impacted driver here in this one. Looks like things just got too tight up there towards the front of the field. Not enough room for everyone else to get on through. Saw a couple cars go up and over, and a few get collected there as well. Isaac Bowman, the driver, to take a massive shunt in that one. We're going to back it up, and we'll ride on board here with Isaac Bowman as he worked his way through this. Just a quick note to those at home: if you get dizzy, hang on. You see Bowman, you can hear that he hits the binders, just nowhere to go. Fireworks still flying in the air from that green flag, and unfortunately for Isaac Bowman, just gonna go over. Night over for him, as he'll work his way down to pit lane. Tonight, of course, the pit road brought to you by Dirt Series Promotions. Ella, what did you see there, and how would you have reacted maybe differently than these other guys did? I don't think I could have done anything better.
No, we don't even want to go there with my driving. But definitely, you know, just a little bit of a domino effect. Gets a little loose there and just nowhere to go. And unfortunately, you know, it does happen. But hopefully he can make his way back through the field, and we will see him. If not, we'll see him for our B mains.
Well, now we see Caden Berry in control of the field. And again, Ella, we had looked at this earlier on today. Caden Berry, one of those drivers to keep an eye on, the driver to beat, I would say, coming into this event. He's got a lot of success here, holds the track record as well at this Knoxville Raceway, and currently leading the way in preliminary night number 1. As we come back to the green flag's out. We're back underway. The 3PG green flag quickly flying there, and Caden Berry quickly flying as well, so he's going to work his way out. Actually, I stand corrected. Isaac Bowman was scored as the race leader right there. He is definitely not leading this one. As Caden Berry heads down the front straightaway, John Helms second, Ross Kaiser third, Ty Dickinson, Alexi Vigal in position number 5, as Vigal has Avila to his inside. We saw Avila work his way up through one of those B mains. He's up 14 spots already here in just 3 laps. So watch for Ryan Avila and Ross Kaiser to do their thing here in preliminary night number 1, and that should carry over all throughout the event, as it looks like Kaiser got a little piece of the outside wall as he heads down through turns number 3 and 4. Ryan Avila down to his inside. Avila up to that 3rd spot. Helms in 2nd. Your race leader still Caden Berry, as battles throughout the field. Looking back at Parker Annis, he's in a bit of a fight himself with Michael Schuring and Jamie Gardner. That is just outside the top 10, positions 12 through 14, as Schuring going to get himself by Gardner. Annis right there, Hinkle there as well, as Trevin McCrillis working his way up through the field. McCrillis now up to that 6th spot, the driver out of Brighton, Ontario, Canada, doing a really nice job here at the Knoxville Raceway. That's a driver that we've seen a handful of times in other racing entities here, Ella, and Trevin McCrillis looking not too out of place here so far.
No, you know, he's trying to find the spot on the track that runs the best, but he's doing a great job. He's up to 6th position, so, you know, he's hanging in there, and hopefully we'll get the opportunity to see him race some more throughout this week.
Well, Ryan Avila up to that second spot. Kaiser, wow, Ross Kaiser, absolutely. That's he's falling back to the fourth spot as John Helms hitting those bumps throughout the top side of the racetrack as the 618 engraving and designs. Yellow flag gonna fly once again, and Brody Duscher gonna be the one to lose his top that time. So unfortunately for the Iridium Sim Sports driver, looks like night number one going to be over for Brody Duscher, as caution flag going to fly once again, just 9 laps into tonight's preliminary event. As we take a look here at Duscher, he works his way down to the Dirt Series Promotions pit road. He's going to be able to take that fast repair. So luckily for him, going to be able to tack onto the tail of the field back in the 23rd position, Ella, but still a long way to go to work his way back up to the front. And it's definitely not over. It's just going to be a lot harder for Brody Duscher to work his way up into the fight.
Yeah, you know, sometimes when you're up already in the field, and then you drop back, it's a little bit harder to work your way through, but I have faith that he'll be able to do it, maybe make his way back up to the top 10, but we will see how that goes for him.
Well, and one of the tougher things too is obviously these drivers are very good. They know their way around Knoxville. A lot of them have done this many years over and continue to be successful at doing it. But if you've been running up towards the front, like you mentioned, and then it comes time to working your way up from the rear of the field, it's a lot different, because up towards the front, you're racing with the guys that maybe hold their lane a little bit better. The field's pretty stacked throughout, so you have top-notch drivers throughout, but sometimes when you're towards the rear of the field, things can get a little bit sketchy, and now he's gonna have to work his way back up from the rear of the field and try to find his way to the front. So we'll see what can happen here as championship standings want to pop up. We don't have championship standings here so far, as we're side by side at the front. Barry opts for the inside, Avila to his outside. As the green flag's out, we're back underway, and it's a good jump by Caden Barry and John Helms as well, as Helms goes to the high side right away. 16 laps to go in preliminary night number one. It's Caden Barry on the bottom, John Helms up top, as drivers all throughout the field jockeying for position. This looks like a great battle towards the rear, and it's gonna turn into calamity, as I believe this is gonna, oh well, they're doing a dance. little dance going on there. The 618 engraving and design yellow flag gonna fly once again in preliminary night number one. That was Dylan McKee and Ethan Milwane getting together. And Ella, that's sometimes you like dancing, but not necessarily on the racetrack in the middle of the race.
No, definitely for them. They definitely did not want to dance, but unfortunately, you know, the dance chose them and didn't quite work out in their favor.
Definitely did not work on their favor. Both drivers going to work their way down towards the pit lane. Of course, tonight's pit road brought to you by Dirt Series Promotions. As you take a look at Ethan Milwane on pit road, Ryan Sheet down there as well in car number 10, and Dylan McKee now working his way back onto the racetrack in that Pale Horse Racing entry. So good to see McKee still able to continue on. A couple of these drivers at this point may have used that fast repair that they did have available to them, so things might get just a little bit tougher with just 14 laps to go. Time not necessarily on your side at this point in the race, so these drivers really just hoping to have a little bit of success and a little bit of luck on their side in these closing laps. And again, just a quick look at the format to set up for tonight. Drivers are going to collect points throughout qualifying, the heat races, and in the feature. And if you didn't advance to the feature from those B mains, there were some points available as well. 142 for the first non-transfer, 140 for second, and so on down the line. Top 16 in combined points throughout both nights will transfer directly to the A main tomorrow. So you could win the prelim tonight and not necessarily transfer. I mean, chances are, yeah, you're going to make your way over to that big show, but it's all going to depend on how many points you've scored throughout these two nights. As the caution has flown on this one, what we're going to do, because we had two cautions pretty much back to back, we're going to go to a single file restart. So these drivers not going to be lining up 2 by 2. And as we come back to the 3PG green flag, John Helm's going to be on the loud pedal. We're back underway. And immediately, Caden Berry going to dive down to the inside of him. Ryan Avila third. Ross Kaiser and Ty Dickinson all inside the top 5 as we work our way through turns number 3 and 4 for the first time on this restart. Helms really working with that outside lane, flirting with that top side. And it might bite him at some point with how high he's getting through these corners and working his way down the straightaways. It's kind of sketchy watching him work his way through there. He's hitting those big bumps, and sometimes those bumps hit back and work your way into the wall. As Jamie Gardner gonna go for a massive flip over there in turn number 1. The 618 engraving and design yellow flag gonna fly once again, and this time for Jamie Gardner as he's gonna work his way down to the Dirt Series Promotions pit road. We'll see if he's able to get his fast repair. Yes, he is. And Jamie Gardner going to work his way back out. The only drivers to have retired from tonight's preliminary action are that of Ethan Milwain and Ryan Sheet. So currently your top 10, John Helms, Caden Berry, Ryan Avila, Ross Kaiser, Ty Dickinson in the top 5, Trevor McCrillis, Bowen Smith, Ty Williams, Bradley Wilson, and Parker Annis in the top 10. And so far, it's been an interesting race here, Ella. John Helms has the race lead, but I have a feeling that Caden Berry might still have something in the tank for us. What are your thoughts from what you've seen so far?
Yeah, you know, I think Caden Berry's just trying to find a different line, maybe get a little bit of an advantage over Helms and score that win tonight. But who knows, Helms might be able to pull it off and find a better line. But it'll be interesting to see what Caden has in store for the rest of this race.
And just quickly, while we're under the caution period, I'm just going to touch on the final few sponsors that we have had on board here for this event. Metcalf Cinematography presenting the best mirroring car, as mentioned, WFO Designs with B-Main number 2, and Dirt Slingers Racing League will present B-Main number 3. Those all coming up on Wednesday night. So thank you to all of the partners on board for us for this event. Really glad to have them along with us. And of course, tonight, the winner of preliminary night number 1 will get $10 from the folks at Twisted Speed. Twisted Speed coming up big here in this event. Really glad to have them on board supporting the event. And right as I mentioned Ethan Milwain out of the event, he's worked his way back onto the racetrack. So Ryan Sheet, the only driver not currently on the racetrack here in this event, as we're going to go double file for this restart. And we're going to get set here in just a couple of moments. John Helms, Caden Berry, Ryan Avila, and Ross Kaiser. That's going to be the top 4. Your first 2 rows with 12 laps to go. Preliminary night number 1 of the Reigel Promotions Esports 360 Nationals live from Knoxville. We're about to get that 3PG green flag back in the air once again. And we're going to wave that one off here, Ella. We're going to try again next time by. So just a little bit more shuffling to make sure the drivers are back in their correct positions before we get set to go green once again. And just take a look at the virtual crowd here at Knoxville. Looking pretty intrigued by tonight's racing action as the drivers work their way down the back straightaway. Going to be coming back for the green flag this time as we take a look at Barney the Flagman. He's got that green flag in hand. He's ready to wave it. He's holding it still, getting ready to wave as Fred the Pace Truck driver heads pit side once again. The driver's going to work their way off of turn number 4. John Helms, Caden Berry, 3PG green flags back out, and we're back underway. Good jump out front for John Helms. Caden Berry there in in that second spot as he's in a battle with Ryan Avila. Avila, one of those drivers that's really had a strong run here tonight. Ross Kaiser up to the 4th position. Bowen Smith gets by Trevin McCrillis to work his way to 5th. Now McCrillis going to battle back up top. McCrillis using the high lane goes into position number 5, but Bowen Smith still right there with him. 10 laps to go. John Helms continues to lead the way as he works his way through turns number 1 and 2. Helms working that high lane. Caden Berry on the bottom side. Ryan Avila up top as they head down the back straightaway. These drivers duking it out all throughout the field, not giving an inch as we focus in on this battle for the second spot. Berry has the position. Avila wants it. He goes down to the inside. Ryan Avila looking for a little bit more as he battles with Caden Berry. Berry working that high lane, clears him. Bowen Smith trying to hold off Ross Kaiser as Kaiser uses that high lane to come around. Smith still on the bottom. Trevin McCrillis on the outside, the top 5 looking in. Ty Dickinson in the 7th spot. Ty Williams in 8th. Parker Annis 9th. Matthew Stables in a battle with Bradley Wilson. 4 positions, 9 and 10, but out front continues to be John Helms as he comes to 6 to go. Caden Berry is ready to pounce. He's right there with him as they work their way through turns number 1 and 2 this time. Next time by, well, the caution going to fly once again, brought to you by 618 Engraving and Design, and it's Trevin McCrillis going to be involved in this one. Looks like he got up into the outside wall and comes to a halt. So caution going to fly with 6 laps to go. And, well, steering is quite broken on that 7-11 of Trevin McCrillis. And as we take a look at McCrillis, he works his way to Dirt Series Promotions pit road. Ella, that's a rough looking race car.
Yeah, you know, it's doing the crab walk back to that pit lane, and he should still have that fast repair available for him. He was up in the top 10, though, so it might be a little difficult to work your way through the field again, but could happen. You never know.
It could happen. Chances are slim with just 5 laps to go, but a couple drivers to keep an eye on inside that top 5 as the grid starts doing some funky things on us there. Ryan Avila and Ross Kaiser, both drivers have worked their way up a ton of spots here in this one. They're going to be starting 3rd and 4th respectively on this restart. Bowen Smith, another driver, really strong but quiet run up in that 5th spot. Brody Duscher, he's going to work his way around. Well, it looks like he might have just got himself back onto the lead lap here. He's going to fall to the rear of the field, but still having a nice recovery run. Blake Giglio just outside of the top 10, trying to work his way forward. Parker Annis in position number 8 as we go 1 to green this time. A couple of very strong runs to watch here on this restart, but again, Caden Berry, a driver that has had a lot of success here at Knoxville. 4 victories in his career. He also has the lap record of a 15.361, as you noted earlier on, Ella. So that's a driver that knows his way around this track and knows his way around here pretty darn quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure he's just looking for that opportunity. Maybe one last little trick in the hat for Helms, but it looks like Helms got a really good start on that green flag, so Caden Berry keeping up with him.
Yeah, Caden Berry with a good launch as well, but John Helms just really able to find the loud pedal, work his way out as Berry looks to the inside, going to be side by side as they come to 4 laps to go this time. John Helms still leads the way, but Berry down on the inside, battles on for the top spot. Again, we mentioned Berry, one of those drivers just looking for the opportunity to pounce. Held his own for the majority of this race, worked his way up from the 7th position, now sitting in the 2nd spot. In these closing laps is the 618 Engraving and Designs. Yellow flag going to fly once again, and this time Bradley Wilson and Bradley Wilson and Miles Jansen going to be involved in that one. Both drivers going to have to tow to the pit road, the Dirt Series Promotions pit road here tonight, and unfortunately for them, I believe that will be night over. Both drivers have been involved in a couple of prior incidents, so unfortunately, looks like game over. And this one going to set up for a I believe it'll be a 2 or 3 lap dash to the finish, Ella. So Helms and Caden Berry both going to be together, both going to have one last shot at this one. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on the front, and it's going to be a heck of a good show, my friend.
Yeah, you know, this race has been nothing short of interesting, and watching Caden Berry just try to get past Helms, and unfortunately, you know, cautions do happen, and it does put a little fork in the road for these drivers, but
A little fork in the road.
hopefully they will be. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So John Helms, your leader. Caden Berry second. Whoa, that was fast. Ryan Avila in third. We're letting the lap cars go on by. I think that's what's going on right there. That spooked me out for a second. Boo. It's like a ghost. Ross Kaiser up there inside the top 5 as well. Bowen Smith. Ty Dickinson having a really strong run. A very quiet ascent up through the field, but one of those drivers that, you know, if something crazy happens up the road from him, you never know. Dickinson might have a shot to get up there and put himself into play, currently sitting in position number 6. And again, you might not win this race tonight, but if you set yourself up with a strong run in the heats, a strong run in qualifying, and a strong main here tonight on preliminary night, you're going to put yourself in a good spot to work yourself into the big show coming up on Wednesday night right here on Regal Promotions Esports on YouTube. Once again, hit that like button, subscribe, drop it in the comments, let us know where you're watching from, who you're cheering for here tonight. A lot of good drivers throughout this field, and a lot of good drivers coming up tomorrow as well. Of course, we'll be right back here 8:30 p.m. for night number 2 of preliminary action. Of course, night number 1 and 2 brought to you by Slide Job Syndicate. Cushion smashing, soul snatching. I like that. That's pretty cool. As we come around, green flag's out. We're back on our way. Green flag brought to you by 3PG. And John Helms, he got the memo. He's hit that loud pedal, and he's back on our way with 2 laps to go. Caden Berry right there with him as they work their way around this time. Continues to be Helms leading the way as we go into 3 and 4. Coming to the white flag this time. We'll jump up to the chopper view as this battle is going to be side by side. Berry with the advantage on the bottom. Helms up top. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go. Caden Berry to the lead. As we come off of turn number 2, Helms going to take a peek to the inside of Berry. Berry not going to allow him to get there as we come through 3 and 4 for the final time. Off of turn number 4, checkered flag. Caden Berry gets it done once again. We said he was waiting to pounce, and well, that kitty just pounced as Caden Berry takes the checkers. John Helms second. Ross Kaiser going to come home in third. Ryan Avila 4th. Bowen Smith going to round out the top 5. What a race. What a battle up front. Can't wait to talk to Caden Berry and John Helms about that fight. And what about Ross Kaiser working his way up through the field? Gonna come home in position number 3 as these drivers work their way down towards our victory lane here tonight. The victory lane brought to you by our good friends over at Roya's Graphics. We're going to step away real quick, have a quick commercial break with our friends from iRacing.com, and we'll be right back right here on Regal Promotions Esports. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we're back here on Regal Promotions Esports. Once again, night number 1 of the Regal Promotions 360 Nationals, brought to you by Right Rear Racing and Slide Job Syndicate. As we're just waiting on our top 3 drivers to work their way into the waiting room. We'll have a quick word with them in just a couple of moments. But first, let's take a look at tonight's results here from our first preliminary night of the event. Caden Berry taking the victory for Caden Berry Motorsports. It's John Helms in second, Ross Kaiser in the third spot, Ryan Avila coming home fourth, Bowen Smith rounding out the top five, Ty Dickinson sixth, Matthew Stables seventh, Ty Williams eighth, Blake Giglio in ninth, Parker Annis rounds out the top 10, Alexi Vigal in 11, John Klimowicz Jr. rebounds to 12th, Isaac Bowman in 13, James Gardner in position number 14, John Klimowicz the third in 15th, Bradley Wilson 16th, Michael Schuring in 17th, 18th goes to Brody Duscher. As we work our way through the rest of the field, Matt Henkel in 19th, Ethan Milwain 20th, Trevor McCrillis in 21st after a strong run late. Unfortunately, got caught up in a little bit of mayhem. Miles Jansen Jr. in 22nd, Dylan McKee 23rd, and Ryan Sheet rounds out the field in 24th. As we take a look over in the waiting room, doesn't look like we have our third place driver as of yet. We're going to go ahead and bring in John Helms, who's going to be standing by with Ella Scott. And we'll go ahead and throw it down to Royas Graphics victory lane with our second place driver, John Helms, standing by with Ella.
Great race out there for you. Great job. Almost had that victory, but what could you have done differently to maybe take home that first place tonight?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I just feel like those cautions killed me. I felt pretty consistent through the whole race, but I knew when there was a caution with 3 to go, I was like a sit and duck. Maybe a different line would have came in, but yeah, he just had the better car.
Yeah, and who do you have to thank behind your car tonight? It was working very well, and I'm sure you have some sponsors you want to shout out there tonight.
Yeah, got to shout out Benny does my wraps. I don't think you guys had the wraps on tonight, but he does that. Got to shout out Uncle C. Shout out Coda and Discord. Thank you guys for putting on this race, broadcasting it, hosting everything. So, yeah.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in our races on Wednesday, and, hopefully we'll see you again in Victory Lane.
Thank you.
As third place driver John Helms, as we're going to get set to talk with your race winner here tonight, Caden Berry. Caden, strong run out there tonight. You, of course, have a lot of experience here at Knoxville, 4 career victories in your back pocket, but you had to work a little bit for this one. Walk us through that one and that winning pass there on John Helms at the end.
Yeah, no, I kind of knew that the bottom was going to come back in eventually. I knew John when he threw the slider line. Well, it was kind of top the slider line, but no, I knew when he was running that, I knew he was going to be able to get by me because I knew it was eventually going to come in. But I knew usually at the end, that bottom, sort of comes back. 1 and 2, I didn't really get to make it work, so I had to kind of follow the line he was doing. And no, it was honestly, with where I was in that position, it was a lot better to be in second than in the lead because obviously he had no idea what I was planning or what I was doing. So, but no, I made 3 and 4 on the bottom work really, really good. And all I knew is that I just needed to get enough a run coming out of 4 on the bottom to, get by him, throw him that, short slider there and take his, line away from him and just block the bottom in 3 and 4, and we just sealed her up.
And obviously for you, you've pretty much locked yourself into the big show coming up on Wednesday night. How much of a relief is that not to have to work your way through those B mains coming up Wednesday?
Oh, no, it's definitely a relief, just to, watch the other drivers and see how they do and, just kind of sit back and relax and see what the tracks do for the, the rest of the nights. And, we'll just see what we can do then.
Well, definitely going to be a nice night tomorrow to take some notes, watch the other qualifiers, see who you're going to be competing with on Wednesday night. But Caden, before we let you go here tonight, any sponsors you want to thank, shout-outs you want to give, people that support you each and every week?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you first and foremost. Got to give all glory to God. Can't thank everyone enough for watching me. Got to thank my mom and dad, my nana and grandpa, my grandmother Cece, Grammy Ryder, TJ, Tim and Kevin, Alex. Got to thank Granite State Blacktoppers, Juice Powder Coating, CRC, Z-Max, Driven to Save Lives, Victory Fuel, Terminal Graphics, Rider Family Sawmill, John Berry's Legacy Racing, and got to thank Bear Blasting and you guys for putting on the stream.
Well, Caden, congratulations on the victory here in preliminary night number 1. We look forward to seeing you again Wednesday in the A main.
Thank you.
That's Caden Berry, your winner tonight. Preliminary night number 1 of the 360 Nationals. Ella, we're coming down to the conclusion of this first night here tonight. And first off, what a night we just had here. Night number 1 of the Reigel Promotions 360 Nationals, brought to you by Right Rear Racing and Slide Job Syndicate. But your thoughts on what we saw out there here this evening?
Yeah, you know, it was some great racing out there, and I think as we play on like the first night, it's always a little bit of nerves for some of the drivers, but as we go into tomorrow and Wednesday, I'm sure there will be even more amazing racing out there.
Definitely going to be a lot more amazing racing. Tomorrow night, we're going to be back here 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We promise we'll go live this time without technical difficulties, and we'll carry you all throughout night number 2 of preliminary action. A great group of drivers expected to hit the racetrack tomorrow. One I'm personally excited to see out here, a good buddy, Dean Reynolds, of course, the series director of the Super Dirt Car Series, going to dip his toes in these 360s down here at Knoxville. I know he was tuned in tonight watching, and we look forward to seeing him out here tomorrow with the other 48 drivers that are going to attempt to qualify for the 360 Nationals. But on behalf of Ella Scott and all of us here at Reigel Promotions Esports, my name is Robert Hill Jr. Thanks for joining us. Night number 1 of the 360 Nationals as part of the Reigel Promotions 360 Sprint Series right here on Reigel Promotions Esports. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.